dear friends and colleagues, first, let me thank you and say how delighted I am to be with you, especially with graduates. This is actually your day, and a number of us are stealing your show. Thank you for inviting us to join you in this graduation ceremony of the pioneer cohort of doctors from Duke-NUS Graduate Medical School. For the 24 graduates today, it must mark a pinnacle of achievement. But I must also tell you, and the obvious fact is that there are more onlookers than there are graduates. I think the ratio is about 6:1, I was trying to count. And if you wonder why a small class of 24 can create such excitement, I'll tell you a number of stories. But first to the 24 graduates. I expect that for all of you, greater things to come, as your dean has said. But as Dean Ranga said, obtaining the basic medical degree will always remain special. With it, you'll be radically transformed from a student to physicians, from someone who learns to someone who heals and comforts, from someone who receives instruction to being a respected member and leader within the community, in whom patients will confide and place great trust and responsibility. I know that for many of you, the journey has not been easy. Through these 4 years, we've had contacts on and off, and I've been hearing stories about your own lives. And I know that many of you had to scale great heights. And I'm just not counting the many hours of sheer hard work, but I know that many sacrifices were required of yourselves and your family members. I know that some of you went on to be mothers as well. I'm not sure how you become a mother and get a degree, but this is the class that we're talking about. And this is really a pinnacle of achievement because, as you know, in most medical schools, you achieve a medical degree in 5 or 6 years. But you've had to do it in 4, and of the 4 years, 1 year was fully in research. So I can sense your accomplishment, the exhilaration and joy, and I think it's made that much more special because you celebrated surrounded by the people who count most and who walked alongside you, your loved ones and your professors and mentors. And I think this is a good time to give them an applause and for the support. I know that your ascent to this peak hasn't been easy, but I must tell you that there were many interested observers, sometimes looking a little bit nervous when you ascended, myself included. So to understand why a small group of 24 students should attract so much interest, you should understand that Duke-NUS represented many firsts for NUS and Singapore. The idea behind the conception of Duke-NUS Medical School in Singapore was a simple one. We just needed more doctors. We needed a new medical school to train and produce more doctors because the existing Inaugural School of Medicine at NUS, which was started in 1905, was already at capacity and very large even by international standards. So here was an opportunity to attempt something different, to start a medical school in today's context, and one that could position itself to be a leading medical school for the future. The idea was sound, but as in most things, the difficulty was in the details. We had to look for a partner equally bold in vision and courage, and we found one in Duke University School of Medicine in North Carolina in 2002, as Dean Ranga shared, and Dr. Tony Tan and I visited. We visited a number of schools, and we found in Duke University a kindred spirit. Duke's innovative and rigorous medical program struck a chord with the ministers of MOE and MOH at the time, Dr. Tony Tan, Mr. Teo Chee Hean, Mr. Lim Kiang, then Mr. Colin Wan, and the cabinet. We were impressed with the distinctive focus on research and its aim of producing not just compassionate doctors, but leaders in healthcare who would define the standards of medical care and bring good to the larger society beyond medicine. Now that you are graduating we can let out a small sigh of relief. But at conception, there were many unknowns and risks. Yes, we envisioned and hoped that Duke-NUS could help Singapore train a strong manpower base of clinician scientists. And it was in sync with what we wanted to do with our biomedical engineering industry and biomedical industries. We also believed that Duke-NUS could attract talented people, advance our translational and clinical research, and provide innovative healthcare solutions for Singaporeans in Asia. But when we were thinking of this, when we were thinking how we would do it, nothing was a given. So for instance, the Duke curriculum, a 4-year course with a full year of research, is known to be extremely rigorous, even by medical student standards. Neither was there a certainty that the Duke culture, that this Duke culture and ethos could be successfully transplanted and hybridized with that of NUS and Singapore. So, as in most new enterprises, strong elements of judgment and conviction are required because it could have very easily failed, or worse, performed in a mediocre fashion. The government and ministers believe that this would succeed because, as in most things, when you're not sure, there's one crucial factor which you must count on, and that is people. There are 3 elements, 3 important groups for this medical school to succeed. One are the doctors of SingHealth, which are important stakeholders, crucial stakeholders. 2, the medical students themselves. And finally, the Duke personnel, the doctors who will be here to help us start this medical school. Now, I knew that the doctors in SGH were hungry for a medical school and would work very hard to make it succeed. So I wasn't worried there. For medical students, or for most students, if you tell them that they have to complete a medical course in 4 years and then do 1 year of research, most students, ordinary students in their right mind, would fight shy of such things. But medical students are not in their right mind and not ordinary. And I'm sure they relished the challenge, and as it turned out, many of them went on not only to complete the course, but to continue with life, to just carry on to do what they did, and they did it spectacularly. Finally, we were impressed with the commitment that Duke was prepared to put in bringing its top people here. The first dean, the subsequent people that they recruited were indeed of extremely high caliber. And the results of putting together committed and talented people, driven by a common passion, speak for themselves. So in a few short years, Duke-NUS has made significant progress. It's become a peak of excellence in our higher education landscape, able to attract students, faculty, and researchers with the highest quality. You've heard about the school's innovative curriculum and pedagogical model, which has garnered international attention. And so since 2006, 101 delegations from 23 countries have made study visits to the school. It's stimulated new thinking in our way to teach medical students and care for students. In research, Duke-NUS, even in its infancy, has made significant strides. It's got 5 signature research programs that address key healthcare concerns. And it's enabled Duke-NUS to collaborate with many agencies, our national healthcare institutions, A-STAR, MOH, the National Cancer Center in Research, and they've been very successful. The Duke-NUS researchers have been very successful in securing competitive grants and awards that have contributed significantly to national projects in the Singapore Clinical Research Institute and the Investigational Medicine Unit at Utrecht. Collectively, Duke-NUS has garnered over 100 million in research funding from Singapore and overseas. And you're only talking, they were able to garner these research grants even before they graduated their first batch of doctors. And that speaks volumes. We can expect Duke-NUS to continue playing a key role in Singapore's biomedical and healthcare landscapes. They're currently working together to forge close links between Duke-NUS and SingHealth. To further the mission, Duke-NUS should indeed work out with SingHealth a joint research vision and strategy and leverage on both strengths. So to the class of 2011, you have paved the way and set high standards as the pioneer batch of doctors. But your role as pathfinders and trendsetters has not ended. In about a month's time, you will become resident doctors and undergo professional training in your chosen medical specialty. And again, you'll be among the first beneficiaries of a revised framework for postgraduate medical training. And this is the residency training that was introduced by MOH last year. This is available to all our medical schools, including the one that's coming up, the NTU Lee Kong Chen School of Medicine, which is to be done with Imperial College. And MOH decided to introduce such a residency program after studying the graduate medical education systems in several countries. And I believe that just as you have distinguished yourself, you will again set high benchmarks in your residency training. But beyond all these achievements, which we obviously are very proud of, doctors from NUS, from Duke-NUS, must never forget the raison d'etre, which is first and foremost to take care of the healthcare needs of Singaporeans. I believe that your special training at Duke-NUS as clinician scientists equips you to save lives and alleviate suffering in many ways. As primary caregivers, able to deal with modern and chronic illness, or as researchers, who can bridge the gap between basic science and patient outcomes, whether it's by pioneering new drugs or medical devices, or as leaders in medical education and healthcare policy. Your career ahead is full of potential and possibilities. Wherever your paths take you, I hope that you will never forget that special privilege of trust and confidence patients place in you. I ask that you never betray that trust. But as generations of physicians before you continue to do your utmost to heal and comfort, and above all, do no harm. In closing, I would like to express my gratitude to the various parties who have contributed to the success of Duke-NUS. To the pioneers of Duke-NUS, especially Dr. Ralph Snyderman, Dr. Victor Sao, Professor Tan Cho Chuan, Dr. Sandy Williams, and other representatives from NUS and Duke who are here today. Thank you for your commitment and efforts in building this partnership. I would like to commend Mr. Tony Chu and the governing board, as well as Dean Ranga Krishna for his team for their outstanding service to the schools and its students, and to the SingHealth doctors and faculty who have worked tirelessly to make this dream into a reality. Duke-NUS has a strong support from SingHealth and the other hospital clusters, as well as from the government. I would like to thank the many donors and benefactors who have contributed generously to Duke-NUS. With your support, I'm confident that Duke-NUS will continue to progress and establish itself as an institution of global distinction. Thank you all, and I wish you a wonderful evening and a wonderful career ahead. Thank you very much.